Race fans, start your engines for a non-stop thrill ride.
I'm not going to make it.
It's the most high-octane countdown show ever, bringing you the 10 greatest Daytona 500 moments.
Oh my God, this is incredible.
From the first photo finish.
Now what do we do?
Brilliant PR move.
To the worst victory dance ever.
Talking about white guys can't dance.
White man can't dance.
From a father-son showdown.
I don't care who it is. They were both out there to win.
To breaking the rules and paying the price.
That ain't gonna be good. It was a little nutty.
From the King's 7th win.
There ain't no way.
To number 3 finally getting to victory lane.
Are you kidding me? I was wondering if I'd ever get my name on that trophy.
But only one can be number 1. This is more than just a race to the finish line. It's a journey through time. Buckle up and hang on for the 10 greatest Daytona 500 moments. Number 10.
Daytona, it just keeps getting more and more insane.
Come on, back to the line. Big crash. Here they come. Checkered flag. Harvick.
It's one of those Daytona 500 finishes where you're just like, wow.
Kevin Harvick wins the Daytona 500.
Going into that race, Mark Martin was 0 for lifetime for Daytona. They all wanted Mark Martin to win. Everybody thought that if he was going to win a Daytona 500, it was going to be this one.
So as the final laps of that race unfolded,
It was wow.
Martin looks like he's going to win his first Daytona 500.
clearly Mark Martin was ahead. I thought Mark Martin had to race one.
Got Harvick making a run.
Here comes Harvick.
Here comes Harvick.
Kevin Harvick is the where did he come from?
Mr. Where did he come from?
Where did he come from?
Kevin looked like he was shot out of a cannon.
And then a huge melee takes place right behind him. It's like, whoa.
Still wrecking. They're wrecking everywhere.
The big crash started happening behind them. I mean, it's just like the world exploded behind them.
Yeah, I couldn't tell who won.
They're side by side, people wrecking behind them.
Checkered flag. Harvick.
And then you've got his teammate, Clint Boyer.
Clint Boyer on his roof.
On his roof.
Upside down and on fire.
We got one car on his roof coming across the start finish line.
Still wrecking. They're wrecking everywhere.
Great finish. You got to give it that. Mark Martin looked like he was going to win, and Harvick gets by him.
He was able to just scoot over that line, I mean, by an eyelash.
Another heartbreaker for Mark Martin.
I wanted to win that thing. They were going to have to pry it out of my fingers, man. It just wasn't meant to be. I didn't get the job done.
Actually wish Mark Martin would have won the race, though.
It was so close to a dream come to true race for all of us.
Number 9.
When you dream of a finish, that's the one you dream of.
Richard Petty goes back in front. They both spin. They're in the wall. Petty is sliding.
1976. That's the race. It's almost like the Ali Frazier fight.
The car stops 300, 400 feet shy of the finish line. Pearson is still running.
Petty Pearson, I still think, is the #1 rivalry in all of NASCAR racing history.
Those two names and those two drivers were synonymous with winning.
The 1976 Daytona 500 had one of the greatest finishes ever.
This was the penultimate match between Petty and Pearson.
Nobody knew who was going to win the race.
One would lead, then the other would lead. One would lead, then the other would lead.
It was like, oh my God, this is incredible. Petty makes the pass Pearson.
And Richard had just almost cleared David, but almost.
Both spin. They're in the wall. Petty is sliding.
Pearson sliding. He's going through the grass.
It looked like they were in a demolition derby or one of those figure-8 races.
Both cars slide to a stop.
Richard slides further than Pearson, and so he's sitting there in the grass.
Petty trying to fire to come across the line.
Come on, start the car, start the car, start the car.
Petty's trying to get his refired,
And we all run out to push him.
Pearson's car finally coughs back to life.
Here comes Pearson.
In a crumpled heap.
He's just chugging along, trying to get to the finish.
And just sort of limps across the line.
Pearson wins the race. Petty's still sitting there.
The winner is car number 21. An amazing finish. Richard Petty's car demolished.
Probably one of the most exciting finishes we've ever had.
Number 8.
They cross the stripe in what appears to be a dead heat. A finish too close to call.
I mean, a photo finish at the first Daytona 500.
On the last lap of the Daytona 500, 3 cars, 2 of them on the lead lap. It's my father, Johnny Beauchamp, and Joe Weatherly. Joe Weatherly is a lap down.
Off turn 4, Beauchamp maintains the advantage. Dan Petty catches.
As they cross the start-finish line,
You see this incredible 3-wide finish.
it's a photo finish.
They cross the stripe in what appears to be a dead heat. A finish too close to call.
it was so close, you literally couldn't tell.
I think folks at NASCAR probably looked at that finish and thought, now what do we do?
Johnny Beauchamp was initially given that win.
In typical fashion, my grandfather protested because he felt like he had won the race.
And it took them 3 days
to find the guy that shot that picture.
If you've ever seen the photo, it's an amazing photo for the time.
T. Taylor Warren took that photo looking across the start-finish line.
But you look at it and you say, yeah.
Lee Petty had actually got to the start-finish line first.
Kind of like delayed gratification, if you will.
So 3 days later, they come back and they declare my grandfather the winner.
Imagine if that happened today.
Somebody said, well, how'd you know you won the race? I said, I looked out the window, and I had to look back when I went across the finish line.
I think, truthfully, Bill France Sr. knew who won the race, but they were able to drag it out for a few days. It was a brilliant PR move.
Number 7.
Is he running out of fuel? He's coming across the line slowly, but he takes the checkered flag.
The biggest thing that won that 500, they had the best strategy.
Strategy's always been a part of the sport. 2 tires, 4 tires, gas and go, what are you going to do?
Petty was running a good race. Wasn't the dominant car, didn't lead a lot of laps.
That win came with a call that his crew chief made.
When Petty came in to make that pit stop,
Dale Inman makes the call.
When everybody else was changing 2 tires and 4 tires.
Made a great pit call.
Let's just take gas.
They're only adding gasoline and he's away. A very quick pit stop.
Come in, gas only, gets him out in front of the rest of the pack.
Gets back out on the track in the lead and never looks back.
A brilliant maneuver by Dale Inman and Maurice Petty.
We were fortunate enough to make the right decision on gambling right at last, and then our luck worked out, so couldn't have been planned any better.
And Richard wins by a pretty hefty margin.
Wins his 7th Daytona 500.
Takes the checkered flag.
How many more Daytona 500s can Richard Petty win?
Here we have a man that's won the Daytona 500 7 times. Are you just going to keep winning races forever?
I'm going to keep on trying, Ned. You can bet on that.
Coming up next, the Jarrett's show How to Win.
The Dale and Dale show.
Dale and Dale show.
Dale Jarrett's going to win the Daytona 500.
And DW shows How Not to.
Wait. This is the Daytona 500, isn't it?
White man can't dance.
When the 10 greatest Daytona 500 moments returns. Now for the honorable mentions that just missed the 10 greatest Daytona 500 moments.
Rusty Wallace, 20 feet in the air, spinning, crashing.
It was certainly an interesting sight, seeing a car flying through the air while you were going on the backstretch.
Derek Cope drives off to victory. Earnhardt's got a flat tire. One of the most unbelievable things that I think's happened in the sport.
I don't think I've ever seen a car come apart as much as his car came apart. The car went one way, the rear end went another way, body parts were going another direction.
Number 6.
I think he's going to make it. Darrell Waltrip calling the bluff, and he's on his way.
The Daytona 589 will always be, forever, my number 1 favorite win.
Following Labonte to the line, Darrell Waltrip brings the Tide Chevrolet across.
It's one of those cases where the great athlete reaches that holy grail moment.
He goes from lap 144 to lap 200 without a fuel stop.
He rolled the dice in a big-time way.
I told him, it's car driving pretty good. I'm pretty happy. Save a little fuel. If we can save a little fuel, we might be able to stretch this thing out.
Darrell drafted everything there was to draft that day. He drafted a seagull down the back straightaway with about 10 laps to go.
White flag comes out.
Darrell kept calling in, I'm out.
I said, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to.
No, I'm okay.
Ham said, just keep going. You're going to make it. You're going to make it.
No, I'm out. It's sputtering.
None of us could believe that he could go that far.
As he came through turns 3 and 4, it occurred to everybody, I think he's going to make it.
Darrell Waltrip brings the Tide Chevrolet across.
Stevie.
I won the Daytona 500. I won the Daytona 500. Wait. This is the Daytona 500, isn't it?
To see Darrell, the tears running down his face. Darrell Waltrip finally wins the Daytona 500.
What a special day to see my brother being able to finally win the Daytona 500 right up until he decided to do that dumb dance.
One thing I could think of was to do the shuffle, and
it wasn't a very good Icky shuffle.
That was a terrible Icky shuffle.
And he's like,
you talking about white guys can't dance.
White man can't dance.
I love you, chant, but you can't dance.
I think he does a pretty good Icky shuffle.
spike the helmet and The rest is history.
Even though it was a terrible Icky shuffle, it was a great win.
The joy in victory lane and the Icky shuffle and the helmet spike, it was just a day of joy for Darrell.
I guess this is one good thing about it is you'll never be forgotten for doing probably one of the craziest things at that point in time, at least in Daytona history.
Number 5.
Come on, Dale. Go, baby, go.
It's the Dale and Dale Show. Go, Dale.
It was the Dale and Dale Show.
Here he comes, Earnhardt. It's the Dale and Dale Show.
Just could not script the situation any better.
Dale Jarrett's going to win the Daytona 500.
There's Ned Jarrett.
Easily one of the most respected gentlemen.
A champion himself.
50 wins, 2 championships.
Ned Jarrett was calling the race in the booth.
Really wasn't Ned's job that day. He wasn't the play-by-play guy.
They saw this situation developing.
A father gets to call his son's Daytona 500 win.
Let the two of them make the statement about the afternoon.
You can hear the emotion in his voice.
Hang to the inside. Don't let him get on the inside of you coming around this turn.
Ned's usually pretty calm and collected, but that day...
You know who I'm pulling for. It's Dale Jarrett. Bring her to the inside, Dale. Don't let him get down there.
It's the Dale and Dale Show. You know who I'm pulling for.
Come on, Dale. You can do it. Come on, Dale.
Hold her down there, Dale. Don't let him get under you.
He's going to make it. Dale Jarrett's going to win the Daytona 500.
That was one of the best moments in broadcast history.
You can hear him talking about his wife, Martha,
Sitting down in the motorhome.
Oh, look at Martha. Oh, dear.
Martha, Dale's mother,
Was too afraid to watch the race in person.
Poor girl, she needs help.
To have Dale win the Daytona 500 with his dad calling the race.
Dad watching his son.
And beating somebody like Dale Earnhardt Sr., who at that time had never won.
tells fans what NASCAR is all about.
You did just exactly what you had to do, like I told you, right?
That's right, exactly like you told me all along, Dad. Thanks for everything. I appreciate it.
One of those feel-good moments when a dad just could stand there and be just so proud of what his son has just accomplished.
You dreamed that it could be you, but if it couldn't be you, I mean, who better than Ned Jarrett?
Number 4.
You know, at Daytona, you expect the unexpected.
Jeff Gordon's spinning down the inside.
That race just got really wild at the end.
Sterling Marlin, he's got damage. He must have hit Gordon. The race is not over. They're going to red flag the event.
Had the red flag.
There'd been a big crash.
Sterling's car was tore up.
What does Sterling do?
Sterling Marlin is jumping out of his car. He's going around to look at the right front fender.
All of a sudden, you see Sterling Marlin climb out of his car.
In the middle of the Daytona 500.
What's he doing?
Thought he was going to just look at the car.
He starts tugging at the fender.
Obviously, that's a no-no.
That ain't going to be good.
They're on worldwide television.
On live TV.
But there's cameras all around the racetrack.
It's not like nobody's looking. But, oh, he can't do that.
You can't breathe on it during a red flag.
Sterling said, well, I didn't have anything to lose.
What did he have to lose?
But he wasn't going to win the Daytona 500 anyway because they were going to have to fix the problem.
So there's Sterling trying to pull that fender out.
Finally, the official runs up to Marlin,
Says, hey, buddy, get back in the car.
And they very quickly told Sterling, you got to go to the back of the field for this. I mean,
Ward Burton, who gets his biggest win ever on one of the strangest Daytona 500s ever.
Ward is like, thank goodness he got out to fix his car.
Thought it was a great gamble, but obviously NASCAR didn't think too highly of it.
Oh, Sterling, you can't touch the race car, but that's part of why we love Sterling Marlin.
Coming up next, the Allisons battling.
Allison and Allison 1-2.
No, Dad, man, you're the greatest.
And Earnhardt celebrating.
I mean, everybody came out on pit road.
Crew members, quite frankly, crying.
Dale Earnhardt finally wins Daytona. Are you kidding me?
When the 10 greatest Daytona 500 moments returns. Welcome back to the 10 greatest Daytona 500 moments. This is number 3.
And it will be at the line. The Allisons, father and son.
So you knew at some point in time it was going to come down to Allison versus Allison.
And they have enough lead. I believe it's just going to be a battle between the father and son.
So I had the car to win the race with, but something happened to the car.
Last lap.
And here's Davey and his dad.
Allison and Allison 1-2.
I mean, they were both out there to win.
Their feelings were, I don't care who it is.
You didn't know who to pull for.
Okay, come on, Davey, and then you're thinking, come on, Bobby, you win the race.
And you see Davey try to make a move going into 3 and 4.
He's down low. Bobby Allison high. Davey Allison trying the inside move.
It's cool to see Daddy give the son the lesson.
That was a hell of a finish.
They come to the stripe, and the winner, Bobby Allison. Davey Allison is son in second. What a tremendous family performance.
Race is over with. Davey rides up beside Bobby. Bobby's got his hand out the window, giving the okay sign. Congratulations, because Bobby had fought so hard. It was like their special moment together.
It was well scripted because the dad won.
And to me, what a special father-son moment.
Having the best young man in racing second to you, and that be your son.
It was really good. It was heartfelt. Davey comes to victory lane. Oh, Dad, man, you're the greatest.
Quite honestly, I'm glad the old car broke. I'd have probably been right up in the middle of that. And I've had enough feuds with the Allisons. I didn't need to mess up that days.
It really doesn't get much better than that as a story as well as a sporting spectacle.
Number 2.
If you're a NASCAR fan and you're a Dale Earnhardt fan, that was just a tremendous day.
Dale Earnhardt will come to the caution flag to win the Daytona 500. Finally.
If you want to be considered successful in racing, you've got to win the Daytona 500.
He had worked so hard and had won so many races.
But darn, for some reason the 500 kept eluding him.
I mean, the guy had tried so many times and come so close. Everybody knew how much this meant to Dale Earnhardt.
He wanted that Daytona 500 more than anything in the world.
That trophy had to have Dale Earnhardt's name on it.
If you weren't a fan of Dale Sr., you were that day.
Here's Earnhardt, who's been chasing the Daytona 500 for 20 years at that point.
This was the last race left on his resume.
And all of a sudden, this is coming down to the end, and you're thinking, something's going to happen.
What's going to happen this time? What's going to keep him from winning?
All the cards were right. Here comes Earnhardt.
And there's trouble coming off of turn 2.
We were coming to the white flag. They had a wreck on the backstretch.
Whoever gets back to the start-finish line, they'll get the white and the yellow together.
When they took the caution flag,
It became apparent that he would finally win the Daytona 500.
Dale Earnhardt will come to the caution flag to win the Daytona 500.
It was more what happened when the race was over.
When he came down pit road.
When he came down pit road. And
Every crew member from every team.
Every man on every crew.
I mean, everybody came out on pit road to congratulate him.
And to slap him a high five.
And high-five that guy when he came by.
Just want to say, you know what? Congratulations, you did it.
Crew members, quite frankly, crying.
That's a lot of respect out there from those guys.
Most anticipated moment in the history of NASCAR racing.
I've never seen a show of respect like that, and I don't know that we ever will.
Everybody was on the same team after the end of the race.
So you don't see that, from every time someone wins the Daytona 500.
You've done everything that can be done in this sport, and you finally won the Daytona 500.
Coming up next, the greatest Daytona 500 moment of them all.
they start banging off of each other.
They're spinning out of control.
My God,
does this happen every race?
There's a fight.
And the whole world was watching.
Just classic NASCAR.
When the 10 greatest Daytona 500 moments return. Welcome back to the 10. We've seen 9 unforgettable Daytona 500 moments so far.
I couldn't tell who won.
Just like the world exploded behind him.
Oh, the heartbreaker for Mark Martin.
It looked like they were in a demolition derby, just chugging along.
And just sort of limps across the line.
Nobody really knew what they would quite do.
I mean, a photo finish at the first Daytona 500.
Let's just take gas.
Are you just going to keep winning races forever? I won't keep on trying, Ned. You can bet on that.
This is the Daytona 500, isn't it?
He's like,
I think he does a pretty good Icky shuffle.
It's the Dale and Dale show. It was the Dale and Dale show.
Come on, Dale, you can do it. Come on, Dale.
One of the best moments in broadcast history.
Sterling Marlin is jumping out of his car.
What's he doing?
That ain't going to be good.
You can't touch the race car.
I mean, they were both out there to win.
It's cool to see Daddy give the son the lesson.
19 years of trying.
That trophy had to have Dale Earnhardt's name on it.
Are you kidding me?
But now it's time for the most unbelievable Daytona 500 moment of them all. This is number 1.
Two of the greatest fiddling here, fidgeting with first place.
My favorite moment.
The greatest moment in the history of NASCAR.
That is what made me want to be a race car driver.
They're hitting the wall. They're head on the wall. They slide down to the inside.
There was a snowstorm.
It was the absolute perfect storm.
The eastern seaboard is snowed in.
And so everybody's trapped in their living rooms.
You sit inside and watch TV.
Back then, we didn't have a 500-channel universe. You were watching CBS and you came across the race.
First race nationally televised live.
It was the first live flag-to-flag race.
Lo and behold, what do you see but this incredible wheel-to-wheel battle?
This is pretty cool. Wonder how it will end.
Donnie Allison and Cale Yarborough had been going at it a lot that day.
The last lap, everything breaks loose.
Cale and Donnie Allison come off turn 3, and
they start banging off of each other.
They were just deliberately turning it into each other.
And it's like, what? Down on the straightaway, they're beating and banging.
I'm like, my God, where's this guy pushing him?
Does this happen every race?
And we're all looking at each other, and I'm looking at Junior, and everybody just, they don't know what to think.
If this happens every race, I'm hooked. I'm watching NASCAR the rest of my life.
They're spinning out of control.
And then they crash.
Out of it. Everybody was focused on what was going on in 3 and 4. And oh, by the way, Richard Petty just won the Daytona 500.
About half the crew turned and took off running toward turn 3.
And there's this fist fight going on.
And there's a fight between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison.
It's called a fight. It seemed more like a scuffle.
Cale Yarborough gets out, starts going after Donnie Allison.
And Bobby Allison arrives. He gets involved.
Cale started yelling at me that the wreck was my fault. I think I questioned his ancestry. Cale lunged at me and hit me in the face with his helmet.
There seemed like there was some mixed martial arts going on.
Cale seems to try to do some sort of a kung fu move.
Cale's got one leg up in the air, and Bobby's trying to punch.
And they're off in the mud over there like they're having a mud wrestling contest.
It was some good old redneck fun.
The legend of this incident just lives forever. Hearing a guy like Bobby Allison talk about it.
And he went to beating on my fist with his nose.
He kept running his face onto Bobby's fist.
My story, and I'm sticking to it.
I think it wasn't about the fighting. It was more about the essence of how much it meant to those people.
It showed that these drivers are passionate about this sport, that yes, this is a sport.
Got the nation's attention for NASCAR stock car racing.
It built the sport.
That's really what put NASCAR racing on the map.
And the whole world was watching.
National television audience.
And the next day, you know, it's front page of every newspaper.
It was something that the average blue-collar guy across America could really catch a hold of and say, man, that was fun.
Off the stripe with what appears to be a dead heat. Only adding gasoline and he's away.
Darrell Walter brings the Tide Chevrolet across. It's the Dale and Dale, Joey.
But, oh, he can't do that. The Allisons, father and son.
I was wondering if I'd ever get my name on that trophy when y'all built that thing.
And there's a fight between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison.